G'day guys, X-Ray Racer 1 here, and today I'm going to do something a little different from what I do on my channel. I usually do radiator control build series, and as you know I also do doing updates for my end scale layout, and I do some reviews. But today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do a bit of a how-to video for model railroading. Now this will apply to all scales, whether it be N scale, Z scale or Z scale, HO, G scale, O scale, etc. It's all relevant, but I model N scale, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to apply some decals to your rolling stock. So I have here, this is a Micro Trains double door box car. This was a undecorated kit, and I just painted it green, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put on some graffiti decals just to liven it up. Now these are what I'm using are Blair line laser cut graffiti decals. This is them there. Part number is 1257. These are N scale for those playing at home, but that is what they are, Blair line graffiti decals. So what you'll need is, obviously you'll need your rolling stock. You can put these on buildings too. The same principle applies if you're putting this on the side of a building. You also need your decal, so I'm going to put this one on. You'll also need, by the way, I should mention these are laser cut, so they already come like that, so you can just pull them out. You'll also need some tweezers. You don't necessarily need a hobby knife for this, but it can come in handy. You'll need a paintbrush and some paper towel. You'll need some water. This cup here has some water just to wash the brush out, and I'll show you why. And I also recommend you get these. These are by Micro Scale Industries. This is Micro Set, and this is Micro Sol. And these help with the application of your decal. And what these basically do is Micro Set helps set your decal in place, but it also softens the decal and it helps adhesion. But this Micro Sol helps soften the decal even more. So for instance, if you were to put it on the front here, so you can see that how it's the ribs and that are real rough, the Micro Sol will soften the decal up a lot more to help it move into shape of those ribs there. So what we'll do is we will put the rolling stock on its side here, and what I will do is I will zoom in. I'll try and get it so it's in shot here. So we've got it on its side. Now what we will do is we will get some Micro Set and use your paintbrush. I'll be putting it on this side here. It doesn't have to be perfect. The paint surface will make it, I guess you could say, build up a little bit. Okay, so I'll just put that there. So while that's there, we will put decal into the water. Now I found with these Blair line ones about 20 seconds and it'll be fine, and it helps decal to move off, slide off the paper backing. And I think that's about 20 seconds, I'm not too sure. I'm having a look at the timer here on the camera. So we'll just... Alright. So very carefully with your fingers move it. Don't force it because you don't want to tear the decal. Alright, so it's moved off, so carefully take it off, and now we put it on, and this is where the micro set comes in handy. So we'll put it about there. Now what I like to do, so what you do is you leave it like this for a few minutes. So while we're letting the micro set do its thing, we get our bottle of Microsol, wash out the brush, and so what the whole idea of leaving it for a few minutes is the Microsol, I guess for lack of better words, attacks decals, so to speak. It's the chemicals in it are causing it to soften up so it can sit well on the surface. So with a bit of Microsol over the top, don't worry if it moves around, you can use your brush to move it back into place. And the Microsol really helps to soften up the decal. So what I'll do is I'll just put the cap on and let it, while it's doing its thing, I will zoom in a bit more. I'll just move it here. Okay. So what I'll do now is, this is actually where the little hobby knife will come in handy, because then you can just move it back to where you wanted it. Okay, so what I'll do is, through the magic of editing, I will let the decal soften up for a few minutes and we'll come back. Okay, so the decal's doing its thing, the Microsol and Micro Set are doing their thing. So now, as you can see, you can probably tell a little bit, it's a little bit lifted up there, and that's just the Micro Set underneath it. So what we're going to do now is, with a cotton tip, we're going to, I guess you could say, squeegee out the thing. Now it says to press down. I find rolling it across helps better. Very gently. And doesn't matter if it moves, you can still move it back because it hasn't completely dried yet. Some surface areas where you got little ridges and that, you might have to press it down. There you have it, guys. We have a graffiti decal on the side of my boxcar. So what we'll do for now is you'll probably best to leave it for quite a few hours to completely dry. It's in place, and probably if I remember correctly, on the side of the bottle here it says, I know it says No, it says to give it a couple of hours. So probably 2 hours at best. I remember reading it somewhere. I think it's on some micro scale decals that I have. But yeah, so there it is, guys. That's a graffiti decal. So I'll show you. I'll pause and I'll show you some more that I've done. Okay, so here we have the decal that you just saw we put on. However, on the opposite side, I have, if I can get it to sit on the rail properly, I have another one on the opposite side, just to mix it up a little bit. But as we move along here, I'll move this up. We have one here, and we also have a couple of graffiti decals on here, on this box car. I'm going to leave this one here with the hobos sitting on the edge. I'm going to leave it as is. I might put one on just, yeah, for the fun of it. But like I was saying earlier on, you can also put these on buildings. Here's one here I've put on a building. Just this is like an old abandoned factory of some, or a storage facility of some description. So yeah, got some graffiti there. So like I said, it's the same principle. You will definitely need to put micro sol on that, because or as you can see there, it's the textured brick. You'll want it to soften up so it molds into the shape of the brickwork. It's a bit hard to tell. You can't really tell it on camera here. Oops, sorry guys. But yeah, so that's on the side of a building there. So I hope you enjoyed the video on how to. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers guys.